Here we are in full HD, 1080p. What do you guys think?
You never thought you'd see us with such clarity, and yet here we are.
In such high detail that it's kind of perception shifting, and it's kind of just a lot to take in.
You know, for me, it's the mics and being able to capture every time my voice squeaks in just crystal clear clarity.
And speaking of crystal clear clarity, today we're going to be diving back deeper inside the mind of Dave than we ever have before. Dave, aka Go to Find, Bethany's husband. Go to Find just did am I jumping in too soon? Are we ready to roll?
Sure.
Do we need to sell our Costa Rica trip? We're going to
Costa Rica.
Let's
do it later. Let's do it at the end.
So we're diving back in to Go to Find. They did a 24 hours with Paul and Morgan video. That's like a series Paul and Morgan are doing on their channel.
24 full hours. Mm-hmm. Same room. They're not allowed to leave. Is that the... There's one club, one loaf of bread, and...
A big part of our previous videos we've done is talking about how Dave is deconstructing. But this video is like even more... He's deconstructed even more from when we did the Barbie review.
Mm-hmm. And maybe he might choose a different word for that ongoing process.
Yeah, they don't like the term deconstruction.
I'm sure they
learned
don't.
That. We're going to dive all into that. It's kind of a very interesting part of the video is the conversation that the four of them have about how everyone on the internet loves Dave. So the purpose of this series, well, they're going to talk about it, but I actually did feel like this video humanized all four of them. Leaving Mormonism or unlearning this stuff, it's not as different as they think, even though in their minds it's like Mormonism is like a whole other thing, but it's like they're actually psychologically like the same thing.
Yeah.
Just a different story.
The same physiological mechanisms that are occurring in the Mormon psyche that are leading them to do all these things for the Mormon church are the same ones that are playing out in the evangelical psyche, in the Muslim psyche. You know, it's religion. It's all the same neural circuitry and social conditioning, et cetera, that goes into that. And anyway, so I just want to say that I have compassion for having been a true believer of something.
This was
and
us.
and having a genuine, sincere belief that this was good for the world, and that like the emotional experiences that I had with it were like testimony of its truth, and I just wanted to share it. Like I can have empathy for their desire to do the same, and also appreciate the steps that they've taken and the interest that they're showing in learning and hopefully like easing that classic Christian control, you know.
Yeah, they're really just like a fascinating case study in what deconstruction can look like. I think that's why we find Dave so endearing and interesting because we see ourselves in him, I feel like. Even though, again, different flavors, different stories, but... And
in all of them, really.
And in all of them.
People say I'm the Paul of ex-Mormon YouTube.
People have called us like... I don't know what they're like, but like Dark Paul and Morgan. So I do feel like we kind of do have a similar... I can't explain it, but I get why they would say that.
Well, yeah, because they're both brunettes and we're both blonde.
Yes, and we're both natural blondes.
Yes. I've never not been blonde.
Always been blonde, and that's why we fell in love. Are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
I'm so excited.
The division between Christians online is immense. In this series, we will press into tough conversations, disagree with love, and humanize the person behind the screen.
Join us as we discover the real lives of some of the most influential Christian figures.
Hey, we're Paul and Morgan, and we can't wait for you to watch episode 2 of 24 Hours With. We had the opportunity to spend the day with Bethany from Girl Define. Bethany runs Girl Define with her sister Kristen. Their goal is to help modern girls live out God's timeless truth for womanhood.
Modern girls, timeless truth. So true.
A lot of hate for their videos and strong stances. Is some of the criticism warranted? Are Kristen and Bethany legalistic Christians living in an echo chamber? What about the Christians they've started to upset?
We'll get an honest look into Bethany and Dave's marriage and the challenges of living in the spotlight while seeing some things very differently. This video is loaded. Get ready.
I can't wait. They've prepared this. They're serving this to us on a silver platter. That is very kind of them. Also, being able to just like buddy up for 24 hours with relative strangers, maybe a test of their spiritual attainment. I don't know, like, it's pretty impressive.
And also, it's like Bethany and Dave spend 24 hours with us. We've been asking for longer than them.
That's what I was going to say. We're not haters. We're trying to get you to come on our Banff trip.
Yeah. Makes sense why Bethany would feel pretty attacked by some of our videos, even though I feel like we've tried to like make it clear that we care. She talks about this later in the video, but it's just tough to be the one that people are criticizing more, because the ideas that she spreads are more harmful than the ideas Dave has spread, and that is just kind of a difficult thing for us to be able to talk about in a way that won't offend her ultimately.
Yeah, and when your format is set up so that you're the God cop, and then there's the good cop bad cop with you and Dave, like kind of how we're the good cop bad cop, won't say which one's which. You guys
all
know. But maybe if Dave did Dave Defined channel, and then Brittany
would
could,
love Dave
or
Defined.
Bethany could be like the good cop who shows up on his channel.
Okay, let's find where's this story updated.
I left this bit in just purely for your enjoyment.
I'm loving it.
I cut out a lot of the stuff that didn't feel as relevant to talk about because it was an hour-long video, so I cut it in half, but I knew you'd want to see this bit.
Modesty? Did you already talk about modesty? No? Okay. Men's modesty.
I mean, men's modesty in our household has come a long way. There was like not that long ago, maybe like 2 years ago, I didn't want Dave to leave the house or like work out without a shirt on, swim without a shirt on.
In the Christianity Bethany was raised in, do you think men swam with shirts on?
No, but I wonder if that was in reaction to just like the fairness of it all. Like, well, if can't leave the house or work out or
Valid.
swim without a shirt, then you better not. Like, I could see that.
The way she talks about it, I think it's that she's worried that like other people are looking.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's
yeah.
because she knows her man is hot stuff, and she. But I don't know. I'm not sure. If anyone knows more about men's swimsuit culture in that genre of
they've
Christian,
changed.
but
Now he
Dave's
can wear a
allowed to-
tankini.
Now he can wear a bikini as long as it covers his belly button, like Taylor Swift used to say in 2011.
Is this crop would be allowed at the beach?
It's giving belly button occasionally.
And, well, occasionally is fine as long as it's not perpetually out. You can hear its whispers, but you don't want to be engaged in full conversation with the belly button.
Totally.
Ladies seeing my man's big muscles. But it's like a change of perspective. It's more like he does it. It's okay to be an attractive person. You don't have to like hide your body completely, like to be modest. Not like necessarily where you're just like going around naked, but like just because you are attractive doesn't mean that's a problem. So now he runs and swims shirtless. Well, we'll get.
Wow.
He runs and he swims a king. We knew it. And it shows, by the way, he's buff.
Hell yeah. We love a ripped king. This is just a slippery slope. If your man isn't covered in full like ski mask, glove attire, next thing you know,
And
he's going to have a fleet of women.
Exactly.
And
And
then
it's
who
the
knows?
woman's job to protect his virtue.
Exactly.
So actually, I understand why Bethany was concerned about that.
Yeah, next thing, well, it's a slippery slope too. Next thing we know he could be just running naked in the streets. What then?
Says, on our way to impromptu ice bath with Dave, we got into some weighty conversation. Dave had some interesting faith takes that caught us off guard. I love seeing Paul and Morgan having to be off guard in a polite way. I think they do a good job. Paul and Morgan do a good job. Like, this is actually a pretty inherently non-hateful video because I feel like everyone was quite pleasant in it.
Here's a genuine inquiry, and I just want to hear your reaction to it. From talking to you briefly,
It's the backwards kind of sideways hat for me.
would be the type of Christian that I would push back on. Like,
All the time. But you're not the only one.
say like, yeah, we started hanging out. I was like, hey, Dave, it's the cussing, man. Like, why are you cussing? And then I maybe would quote a Bible verse like, let no one hold.
Dave's got a really nice sense of humor about the differences throughout this video. He just seems like he has such a grasp on his ego in a way that I find very impressive. And he shines bright like a diamond among the four of them.
Just one of the many things we love about Dave.
But he's probably also kind of has to do that for survival, because if he was as opinionated and sort of forceful in sharing his opinions as the others, it maybe won't go down so well. It's like they allow for him to be a little bit, what's the word? Like, not controversial. There's a word I'm looking for that's like not blasphemous.
We've all
but-
been the one heretic
Yeah.
at the little small home Christian gathering. Trust me.
They allow it because he's kind of so good-natured about it, which is sort of just fun to watch.
I'm like, but how can we trust the prophets to? And everyone's like,
yeah.
I'm like, but the scriptures are just the scriptures of men mingled with
Once
scriptures.
you're in this phase, you quickly start realizing that you got to keep a lid on it.
Like, why are you cussing? And then I maybe would quote a Bible verse like, let no unwholesome talk come out of your mouth.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Dave's views on cussing do not reflect Bethany or Girl Defines. Dave actually does cuss a little.
Why does cussing sound like
I
such a
know.
12-year-old expression to me?
I know. Also, just like, oh, what a sweet arbitrary standard for morality.
I
Like, I'm
know.
sure Dave doesn't go around like calling people, you know, like horrible words. He probably just is like, oh shit.
All you have to do to really like deconstruct the menace of language is to either learn another language or be around someone who's learned English as a second language and just feel the way that swear words are totally psychologically different in a different language, just because they don't have that same built-in communally reinforced idea, like taboo.
Yeah.
I do get that, like, okay, we have been conditioned, these words are spicy words, and when we're dealing with people, you don't want to serve up linguistic meals that are just so fucking spicy to everybody all the time.
Right. And it's like,
because then it's like, ooh, it could be kind of abrasive to the average person.
Yeah.
But a little spice
context
here and
matters.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear what he said. Did he just cuss at me?
Oh, wow.
Should we edit ourselves into the back of this car and just act like we were chilling and be like, our 24 hours, and just edit us like
That's so
insane
good.
things?
We're just like massaging Dave's head.
Wow. When someone says, well, what does the Bible say? I typically will hear a certain type of what I would call biblicism underlying that, a theory of the Bible that often we just take as self-evidently true. This is what the Bible is. A lot of this stuff is actually, it's more difficult when you actually get down to the conversations I have found. It's easy for each side, oh, you're a fundamentalist, oh, you're a progressive. It's easy to kind of hurl like, oh, progressives are just relativists, or fundamentalists are just dogmatists.
He's having thoughts. He's learning words. He's using the words. He's expanding. Isn't it just like, it's crack. It's like so addictive to watch.
A mind expanded by new ideas can never retain its former dimensions.
Never go back.
Which is
Dave.
why it's so important to talk about biblicisms anytime we talk about Christian criticism. Thank you, Dave. This is the most relief my nervous system has had. I think this is why Bethany loves him, because she's like, he's pure through and through.
Okay, that's something that I found really beautiful. A bit of a spoiler, but like watching this video, what I found beautiful is I feel like Bethany really does have an appreciation for the way Dave is, and more of a genuine tolerance than I think. And maybe that's evolved in the past few months, like since our last Girl Defined videos. But I really did feel like she kind of sees him and loves him for who he is. I think one of the reasons we were a bit like, about their relationship in like the Barbie review is it just kind of, she was like rolling her eyes at everything he said and blah, blah, blah. But she seems to have grown too, which you'll see.
And that's all, we're all performers, right? And there's an element of performance, and it's like, it's cool to be able to publicly disagree with your partner and not have to just be like, I'm the kind, pleasant wife who just biblically accepts all the biblical things my penis husband says to me. Like, it's
to Bethany's credit, she doesn't do like the submissive wife thing that a lot of them promote.
But the reality is, I think we all have beliefs that we think are true, and we all have relativisms operating as well. When your view is one that the Bible should just be this clear thing we all sort of have access to, and the Holy Spirit just teaches us what to believe, well, you got tons of groups out there who all claim the Holy Spirit as their teacher, come to different conclusions.
A lot of groups, but
he is so many layers deep. He's so many layers into deconstruction, whether he says it or not. Yeah. The us versus thinking, gone.
Yeah.
The moral absolutism, gone. Whatever that word is.
And, I don't need Dave to like renounce Christianity.
No.
There's like really cool
love
Christians
this
who get
Dave.
it. Dan McClellan, I love everything he's doing. He's a Latter-day Saint. There are people who are Christians who get it and who are like, who does inspire them to like live their best lives and pursue truth in its most meaningful, rational ways and all that. And maybe Dave's that kind of person. Or maybe he's about to fully deconstruct religion. Who knows? Who knows?
It's kind of,
but it's very
either
delightful
way.
to hear him say this. It's like really, 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 really relieving. And that Paul and Morgan kept that in. Good on them.
Yeah, because ultimately, like, it's the lack of that kind of thinking that is what we're always criticizing Christianity for. So, for Dave to be Christian, it like doesn't really matter to us at that point, because what's most harmful about it, he's deconstructing, and maybe it's still lending itself to him being slightly homophobic. I don't know, like the extent of his views and how that like interplays with his political views or anything like that. But I mean, to have deconstructed like the us versus them thinking and like the certainty that one's own thoughts and beliefs are the way, that, I mean, that's most of the work, At that point, it's like maybe you'll keep enjoying appreciating Jesus as sort of a central figure in your life, or maybe you won't, and your brain will kind of need to go further than that. But yeah, just wonderful to see.
You know, we have friends who are theists, we have friends who are atheists, we have friends who are Mormon, we have friends who are, you know, it really, what's important is just like a willingness to be real and to have real conversations and to actually analyze and to think critically and be able to like absorb information and feedback. So bravo.
I think a lot
Dave,
of this,
you have made my day.
a lot of this
Again.
video is just going to be us praising Dave. But
Which is why we're doing it. This was all.
Yeah. But his humility really shines. And I really appreciate that in him. I think I could do with having more humility. And he really genuinely seems to embody that quality. So beautiful. Let's keep going.
You do see a lot of unity as well around the fundamental doctrines, and then there, to me at least, and then you see the splitting with the secondary issues, and that's, you know, one of the goals of this series. But yeah, man, you're a deep guy.
I would love to hear him express which views he thinks are fundamental
That
and
Christians are
universal
all
and
agreed
Christian.
on. I know.
Because
Not even the nature of the Godhead, babe.
this thing since almost day one has just been like new sect, new sect, new sect, new sect, and all of them being like, it's so plainly self-evident how this is so true, and every single other denomination is like, no way, you guys are total heretics, you totally don't understand this basic fundamental tenet of Christianity.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's honestly interesting how all four of these people who, when they started their online content journeys, you know, they were like kids and now they're like adults with kids. Like all of their views have changed, even though Paul and Morgan are not as far along, as I would put it, as say Dave and Bethany. Like they've all shifted. Like nobody is just like retaining the exact Christianity of their youth, it seems like, because it just isn't compatible with reality in the modern world. So they're all having to update their views. But then the issue is, it's like they were taught that those things were the way and they taught them as the way, and then they never walk that back and they try and do that thing that the Mormons do where they're like, this thing that the church denied forever has always been taught. And it's like, but it wasn't. Like you need to like address why you originally thought that and how you used to like believe that was true for the same reason that you still now think that it's okay to be homophobic. Do you know what I mean? It's like still the same kind of force driving the stuff.
Have you ever, you're familiar with the expression, don't be so open-minded that your brain falls out?
I've heard a version
I
of
feel
it.
like some deconstructionists would fit into that.
oh yeah, I've heard that one many a time from true believing Mormons.
I love that that's like Paul's response to Dave just, you know, waxing lyrical about relativism. And Paul can just retreats into like, you're too open-minded. That's what it is. Because you just can't reckon with it. And I love how like, again, good-natured Dave is at just taking that. Like, it's like such a roast to be like, you're so open-minded, your brain's gonna fall out.
It's like, whoa, dangerous thoughts there, my guy. we shouldn't really be thinking about how the Bible came to be or why the Bible came to be or who wrote the Bible or who translated the Bible or what the implications of or interests and, you know, intersections of all those things may be. Like, keep in mind, most biblical literalists and most biblical believers throughout history, last 2,000 years, have literally believed that the earth was created in, 5 days, 6 days, that Eve was just magically created from Adam's rib, giving him the same DNA, and that together these two beings possessing the same exact DNA reproduced and had children that then populated the world through incest. And then that they became so evil that God drowned the whole world in water, despite several civilizations like Egypt living all through it and not experiencing anything like that. You know, those are, among other things, like talking donkeys and walking, you know.
It's like, but Dave's brains too.
Yeah, don't get so open-minded that your brain falls out, my guy. Like, leave a little room for flying reindeer and shit.
Ready? Okay.
They're doing an ice bath together.
Dave, drop your shoulder routine. Those rear delts, you know
Yeah.
he's hitting those.
Where's
you know
Dave's
he's hitting 'em.
workout channel?
Okay.
Okay, Paul's got triceps too. Let's not be.
Yeah,
let's not,
no, they're both, but it's despite the fact that Paul is a stunning looking man, it's more challenging to get there than it is with sweet, perfect Dave. This video is going to be...
Again, it's the backward, slightly tilted hat that I just like. I'm like, We just have nothing in common. I'm sorry.
Yes, for me also, it's the hat. I do think this is going to be fatal for our crush on Dave. Like before, in the beginning, it was like slightly ironic. And then now, after I'm like, no, I actually might have a crush on Dave.
I
And
have a
that's
little
just
one.
something that we have to-
Appropriate. I'm trying not to be weird about it. I just
it's okay to
like
have
him
a
as a human
crush.
being. Is that wrong? Is that wrong?
And don't worry, Bethany, I'm happily partnered. I'm not coming for your man.
Me neither.
Don't think about it.
You think they're into Wim Hof?
Probably. Maybe not Wim Hof exactly, but definitely the...
I don't think it's for me. I prefer to microdose ice bath by just turning the water really cold when I wash my hands.
I just think there's a lot of ways you can use micro stress as a way to, get the benefits. And I'd rather work out than do an ice bath,
Yeah, I just take a look in the mirror like, on my day.
It's just so fun to get like the behind the scenes of y'all's whole inner workings of how, because we know how we do things at Girl Define, and it's a lot of similar stuff, different, but like getting the behind the scenes and talking about, like the conflicts in marriage right before you record, how you are through those before you talk about the Lord.
Imagine if we were just having like huge fights before we filmed a YouTube video. That's like so fucked up.
No, if we ever like get in like a weird space, we're just like, okay, let's go on a walk.
For a second, yeah.
It's like, we're not gonna.
Yeah, no way. But I feel like they almost like use content they have in the past at least used content creation as a way to kind of process what they're going through, and they're not realizing how much they're doing it with the audience.
I mean,
which I think is something we all have done as early content creators.
Yeah. Sometimes like in cultures where we weren't given opportunities to process that, setting an intentional space to bring up conversation. I've always been like, everyone should start a podcast. Sometimes I go back on that and be like, maybe straight men should have to like apply first, and everyone else should just be able to start a podcast.
Gorgeous.
But
I would actually like to say on the record, I do not agree with Tanner's opinion that everyone should start a podcast.
I don't know they do. Actually, they'd probably just get the same benefits by just journaling, starting there. Just being able to externalize thoughts and feelings is so important.
Definitely.
And we're not often given those opportunities if we don't create them ourselves.
I also think from doing YouTube, I do think there is something about like having to sort of experience the way you communicate as almost an outsider through like looking at it. I do think it can teach you a lot about yourself, and it can help you get better at excavating your own brain or organizing your thoughts.
I also have empathy for being like a faith creator, content creator.
Yep.
And receiving negative feedback.
Yep.
And interpreting all negative feedback. I still interpret all negative feedback as hate. But sometimes the criticisms that I received were valid, and I didn't want to acknowledge how valid it was, and that really stung. Other times, people were just like genuinely mean, and it's the internet and YouTube, which is just foul.
I think even as like
it's no Twitter, don't get me wrong, but
it's just always hard to get. Like the bodily experience of them getting a lot of negative feedback is the same as it is for us. But
whether valid or invalid, it all feels the same.
From knowing like what it was like when we were Mormon content creators, when your worldview demands that you continue having this very fixed reality, but like you're constantly being told the ways that it isn't, and it's like it's kind of coming in, it's kind of not coming in, but it's just generally creating this big feeling of stress, which makes you need to cling to your tribe more for survival. Hate is a big feature of this video, and it's clear that it's a thing they've all sort of suffered from. And it's easy to be like, yeah, well, they bring it on themselves by being hateful. And it's like, yeah, but they didn't ask to be born in that religion. And it is notoriously difficult to break free from that kind of high control thinking. So they truly are not choosing any of this. And I do think we should be able to celebrate wins along the way. Because I feel like some people kind of pushed back on the fact that we were like celebrating that there had been deconstruction, because they're like, yeah, but they still suck in all these ways and have all these hateful views. But it's like, how do we expect them to get there? But
yeah, the brain
like,
can only
come on.
move
We can't
so
like not
fast.
celebrate progress until someone is at this like imagined final version that we think everyone should be as a baseline before they're worthy of like love and respect, and
Yeah. Some of us had to crawl out of a 2,000-year-old hole.
Single for much longer than you, and so I had all these ideas of like, oh, modesty and men and like all of this stuff, and then getting married to Dave and him sharing more of like his actual thoughts with me, and then me really asking myself, why do I feel like this certain thing is modest and this isn't? And something for me even recently that I've really realized is that I had this idea that almost like if like attraction was almost like immodest, and so for me I wanted to wear more like looser clothing and not really show the fact that I was a woman, because I thought, oh, that's like part of the problem. And almost like even as a like,
I'm so glad she's deconstructing this, and I know this is obvious, but I'm just like, these girls really did build their brand on modesty. That was like one of their central things as young single women in this church, which shows how like the central thing girls in that system are taught to think about is the fact that they're sexual objects for men. It's just so fucked up, because it's like you just don't think about modesty that much if you're like do you really think about like sometimes I'm like, is this appropriate for the setting? But it's like how much like the way that they're dressing and whether they're like seeming too sexy or attractive in the wrong way, like it's just like it's a waste of time for a life, for a brain to be just caught up in that all the time.
Waste of cognitive energy.
And it just shows that the whole operation runs on shame, and specifically sexual shame, which is something that nodding for years. And so that's kind of why sometimes I'm like, I don't think there's as much to salvage from these kinds of belief systems as we like. Yes, you can be a Christian whose Christianity makes them, like genuinely Christ-like, the way we might traditionally think that. But I do feel like a lot of the times, because the belief system is built more on shame than Christ than people even sort of realize, they maybe just like don't want anything to do with that framework anymore, and that's super valid, you know.
A married person that you should never even think anyone else or any other human is like attractive. And so I've realized
like all of their I know we know this, but all of their problems or all of their focus has just been about sex for so long, and it still is, but now but it's just like sex is everything. They're obsessed.
They are, because Christianity, and we know this, Mormonism,
it runs on sexual shame.
Yeah, it does.
That is
run
the
on
core.
Sexual shame.
It's clearly the core, because it's the thing you talk about the most and think about the most and worry about the most and define your worthiness by the most. So it's like you can say that it's Christ, but no, he's just like the package it's being sold to you in. Like it's all about the sexual shame. Dave knows this because he's talked about how he basically realized how unhealthy it was, like how worried he was about sexually sinning when they were engaged and stuff. So I think I don't know to what extent he's deconstructed the sexual piece, but at least that.
I have said this, we've said this a lot about Mormonism, but it's true in this context as well, that it's like religion, what it's really selling you, they tell you that you're having this unique experience. Like Dave said, it's like, yeah, a lot of people say they experience the Holy Ghost. Yeah, they've hooked up a lot of people to like literal brain scanners and had them click a buzzer when they felt the Holy Ghost. And guess what? It's like the same for everybody, even when they're like reading from people that they think are Christians, but they're actually somebody, it's like, it's a brain function.
We know what it is. It's not it's not even like a beautiful mystery of life. There are beautiful mysteries of life.
And in that way, it's sort of an illusion, a trick, a shadow and mirror trick where they're like, aha, aha, aha. But what they're really doing is teaching you to shame your own body and your own cognitive experience so that you are an enemy to your own being. That creates this like cognitive schism in your soul. And that you have to go back week after week after week seeking atonement for the shame that they've created. They're selling you the antidote for the poison that they're giving you. And I think that's most modern, especially American, religions.
And I cannot stress enough how much this is all in the service of indentured servitude on the part of women.
Well, in the 1850s, when the founding platform of the Republican Party was to end the twin relics of barbarism, polygamy, and slavery. It was one indentured servitude by race and one indentured servitude by, or not indentured, excuse me, but forcible servitude by gender and one by race. And so, like, that was what Lincoln was fighting for. Guess the only place that was practicing both of those. Utah, Mormons,
beautiful.
Great. but it's the same thing playing out here too, right? And if you can see it in us, surely we escaped the devil's church. I don't know what they say about Mormons. I'd be interested to hear their opinions. And did you say that?
Maybe they would feel safer talking to us as well because we're ex-Mormons.
Yeah. Do we get a pass for the just the
Yeah.
trauma?
Because we get so many Christians, it's like, wow, no wonder you turned from Christ because you were in such a wicked church. And I'm just like, yes, hold me, Janet. It's been so hard. Take me to Jesus.
It's like, it's okay. Like, I can be out in the world and see a man who is attractive and just be like, oh, that's an attractive man, and move on with my day. I don't have to be like, oh my gosh, well, you know. Or that Dave will see obviously there are other beautiful women in the world, you know. Obviously what he does with that is a different story, but like he can see other women in the world and be like, they're beautiful, and move on with his day. So that has been like part of the growth journey for me, and I think that's contributed toward some of the change in conversation.
Growth. I think that is genuine growth.
It's genuine growth, and it's also just so sad that wasn't that. Like, that should just be kind of a baseline reality for kids grow. Like, everyone should know that because it's just like, that's human nature. So it's just like insane that that had to be unlearned, you know? But wonderful.
And it's what we're seeing right now is they're like, people are like, oh, you got to acknowledge that like religion has been so important. And I'm like, maybe a little bit. Like, I can see the world where, you know, like, well, I don't know. People have known about contraceptives for a long time. There have been like safe ways to practice sex. I was gonna say I could see like, you know, anciently people being like, hey, we gotta cool with the sex shit. You can't just be like fucking everything and everyone all the time. Like, we gotta like maintain some order here. And you know, babies are popping out that people can't feed, can't take care of. It's like, hey, we gotta like figure this out, maybe feasibly. But like in today's
isn't it really, it probably is all like property ownership, like land ownership. Once that came into it,
and
then
literally
Yeah.
and that's why we get the Bible instructions on like how to sell your daughter into slavery. Like, it's like, okay, great, we went to hell with that, with structure and order and institution and male patriarchal deities, etc. I think this is genuine growth.
yes.
And good for you for figuring it out. And
Yeah, I'm excited for you to see.
and in honor of the modesty journey, I'm taking off this fleece again.
Next, we have a scene of Bethany talking in the car that I just think this is just like a delight of a video, in my opinion. We're allowed this as a treat to just have nothing but good thoughts about Christian fundamentalists.
We never get a good treat from just watching. This is great.
We're not done with you, Dave.
He said he's not done with y'all either. So did he really shock y'all? What did he shock y'all with?
Yes,
Yeah,
Dave shocked us.
we were shocked.
What was shocking?
How different you guys
Yeah.
are? Because you seem very much at peace with him working through this stuff and figuring out like where he stands on things. What do you think? Why do you think you're so at peace with that?
I mean, from the beginning, honestly, like
It's like Dave and Bethany are like modeling something healthy to Paul and Morgan, because you can tell that Morgan is like, how? So this is really fun to just see Bethany explain it in a very mature, intelligent way.
And this is just like genuinely good content, Paul and Morgan.
Yeah.
Like, this is great seeing the
actually
behind the
think this is
scenes and the
a
this
piece
is really
of content
great.
that benefits the world.
Yeah.
Like, this is good. We
I hate how bridge builder we've become,
Poor
and they've
Morgan.
become well.
a huge goal of mine in marriage was to not try to control my husband, and I had seen that done like so much, and it seems like there's a happy marriage on the front, you know, all of these conservative values and all of this, you know, like go.
I can't hear anything except for the clicker. It's just like driving me crazy. Sorry. Can we go back? And I don't know how to not hear about that.
Into the word and stuff, but then behind the scenes there was like a lot of anxiety or just like a lot of dysfunction. I didn't really care about Dave like putting like, I mean I did, but like I didn't want him to just appear a certain way for like my own ego or image or whatever. And I, you know, he grew up in a family where he knows the Bible frontwards and backwards, you know, like he said
he's read it multiple times.
yeah,
too.
even just like in the
Of course he does. Of course he does. A Christian after my own heart.
I'm like, there is the religious like versions of me still exist within me, because I'm like, why is that hard?
No, I once got. I've had a couple steamy like conversations with post-religious people. There's something about it. You're like, oh, you were
Yep.
that type. It's like
Yep.
showing me how. And I was like, oh yeah, that's That's really
like,
cool.
oh, you can really commit to a discipline.
The years that we've been married, he's, you know, like he commits to something, he does it. So he did like 2 years back to back where he did like Bible reading.
It's kind of crazy that every Christian who espouses how fucking important the Bible is all the time hasn't read the Bible multiple times through in their whole like 30 years of existence.
Right. It shows that he genuinely cares about this, that he like
Yes,
really wants to get it right. And I think his doubts or deconstruction or whatever is like evidence of that, in the same way that it is for ex-Mormons, of like, we really want this to be true and we want to find the like truest, most healthy version of it. And for us, that was
Yeah. It also shows how Christian kids will have been conditioned to believe that the Bible is true before they've even read the Bible. They've heard like little like
literal fairy tale
stories
versions
from
of the fairy tale.
Like they've heard stories from the Bible that are like all sweet and sugary and have like
don't ever tease bald men, children, for the Lord may send a bear to devour you. Like, oh shit.
Lads.
Plan, and he like never, you know, like he absolutely finishes it. And like we'll do like Bible trivia games, and he like knows, like he knows all of it. He's like extremely like highly.
One thing about Dave,
goner.
he absolutely
finishes it every time. He's such a goner though. This has you written all over it, reading scriptures for 8 hours a day. Like, you are Dave.
We are Dave.
We.
All of us.
Are Dave.
Here today.
Here today.
Here to Dave.
I hate how I've been doing more puns lately.
Church, like highly in the word, and the like fruit of some of that, like just the anxiety and the struggle and the just like, I don't know, like
he's in the word.
It's just been difficult. Dave is someone who like is constantly seeking outside advice, and the mentors, our pastors, the men in his life, I highly respect and I think are really amazing. And so to me, he's a man like that is like very full of integrity. And so instead of having an interest in reading certain books or learning from certain teachers and me just being like, I don't like that, don't show that to me, I want to be more like inviting of that and being like, hey, I want to know, share that with me. And to be honest, like who he is as a man now, and like his, like, I don't know, how he loves me, how he treats our family.
See, this is what we didn't see in the Barbie video, because mostly what we saw in the Barbie video was just like her rolling her eyes and just trying to disagree kind of politely, but also kind of rudely. I love seeing this, and I don't know whether it's new or it was there all along, and that, you know, that video was just like a tiny snapshot. But I love seeing that she sees his integrity. Also, speaking from experience, that's going to make it especially hard when Dave especially becomes an atheist, because you're going to know that no one could have possibly had a more pure heart than him, and if he can't do it, then no one can.
What if he just moves directly past atheist into transcendental pantheism?
We are Bethany and Dave. Like, actually, minus the marriage romantic part, like, this is our story. Oh, it's beautiful. I'm going to go to find for Halloween this year. A respectful tribute, though.
Her culture is not a costume.
I want to be more like inviting of that and being like, hey, I want to know, share that with me. And to be honest, like who he is as a man now, and like his, like, I don't know, how he loves me, how he treats our family, his stability as a leader has only improved. And so like, I feel like I have a better life.
Yeah.
So I guess it's something I'm not really afraid of, because I just, maybe some of this practice.
The ex-evangelical, ex-Mormon YouTube community deserved this. Mm-hmm. This does not happen very often. This level of, oh my God, things actually got better instead of more hateful and terrible. And God, that seriously never happens.
Yeah, it's good to see this angle, because I guess so much of my exposure to Christianity these days is through like Twitter.
Not ideal.
And yeah, it's not ideal, because you're just like, oh, whoa, Christian
to even
fascism
be on
on the
Twitter,
rise.
There's something wrong with you.
And so just to hear some like, just, you know, heartwarming behind the scenes is, thank you again, Paul and Morgan.
Thank you, guys.
Practical stuff that he's learning now was missed as he was growing up. And so it's almost like rewinding. And although not all of it's like from a Christian perspective, to me, it seems like it's been really beneficial in his life.
Was Dave homeschooled? I think he was as well, wasn't he? It sounds like he was very sheltered growing up, though. So again, just makes him all the more impressive for being where he's at.
Yeah, pretty much if you've read the Bible through and through, you were probably sheltered. If I'm just projecting my own experience on everybody.
And now, like, we don't listen to all the same things and read all the same things, and we don't approach how we if I want peace in my life, I am very much like go to the Word, and like my relationship with Christ is where I find that. And that's not always the case for him, but like it doesn't bother me that much, which sounds crazy.
Yeah. How do you?
That's not always the case
Sometimes
for
he
him.
goes to evil ex-Mormon channels. That is why I like Dave, and what resonates with me is like, as a Christian, like the most compelling stories to me were the ones where Jesus would, and these are like all the good ones, is where he's extending his compassions beyond his cultural boundary, the one that's been established by his religion, by his deity, by his lawgivers, by his law interpreters. And so like that he was able to go past that and to connect with people who his own religion was like, no, they're evil, they're wicked, they're bad, they're fallen, they're the false, they're demonic and all that. And for him to just love those people and to see their worth and to elevate them as the central part of this messianic narrative that like includes the people at the furthest margins of society, including people who disagree with you, including people, you know, us publicans and sinners. You know, that was who he was trying to connect with. And the people of his religion in his day were like, you wine bibber, you apostate, you heretic, you.
Your brain's so open, it's gonna fall out.
Yeah, like, don't you read the Torah, man? Just get in the Torah every day, bro. Just like, literally, I'm telling you, this is how it is, bro. I'm the rabbi. I love to be seen in the streets, bro. I read the Torah, bro.
Wake up at 8, put on a cute outfit, do a workout. You'll feel so much better if you do a workout. Holy girl slay. It's all in there. Dave would love everything you just said. I would put money on it.
Yeah, so
That's the kind of man that you and Dave are. This is a non-toxic masculinity treasure chest.
Dave, call me Jonathan. Is that too much? Is
I don't
that
get
too
it.
much? David and Jonathan were they were just roommates, good roommates.
In the Bible?
Yeah, they like loved each other, and David
Love is
said,
in the Bible?
yeah, he said, I love you more than women. And everyone's like, he means that in a platonic bro way, obviously. Like,
fuck
obviously you
off.
can love your bro more than you love women. And he like literally takes all his clothes and stuff off. And they're like, he just took off some things. It wasn't that.
Really? I had no idea about this.
Yeah.
There's gay lovers in the Bible, and they're trying to say that they were just roommates. The original, they were...
You know, it was Saul's son.
Dave,
Saul's
weigh in,
son.
because he, as someone who knows the Bible inside and out.
Yeah. Again, not trying to be weird. I'm just trying to prove my biblical
No,
credentials.
yeah, Tana, you are proving. I mean, I speak for myself and all the girlies who are kind of at my level of understanding of the Bible. We are impressed.
I feel like it will affect kids, like your girls' kids, as they start to get older, start asking questions. Like they ask him questions and about the Bible or about just like, you know, whatever, something very stereotypical that like David, you might see totally different on. How do you guys think you'll approach that?
Yeah.
It won't be a problem by then. Evil villain laugh.
Well, he actually initiated and led us switching churches. So we were going to kind of like a basic Bible believing, non-denominational type of church. And it's
They're like, it was just like a basic Bible church, but like everything I know about the church they grew up in, I'm like, I don't think that's basic, not where I come from. That's like really intense. It's a whole different thing. But I do think basic church in England versus America, so different. The basic Christian church I would go to occasionally, there was no like control. It was very much like, we are just so glad that you would even want to be here one time, and there is seriously no pressure to ever come back. Jesus loves you though.
What church do they go to now?
They go to a Lutheran church now.
That's right.
Tana's going to just tell us a little bit about Lutherans
well-
for any of us who might know nothing.
Well, okay, so when I was leaving Mormonism, I met a Lutheran guy and at a party, and you know, we were talking about our experiences, and he's like, yeah, it was like hard to rebel against the Lutherans. They're just so accepting. And I was like, oh, that's cool. He's like, I never had to like leave them because I could just do all the things that I wanted to do and still be a Lutheran, and that was fine.
Stunning.
And I was
Bethany
like,
and Dave,
wow,
stunning life choice.
that's great then. So then I was like, well, maybe there's other like famous Lutherans, and on the like, what is this website? Oh, ranker.com. There was like a famous Lutherans thing, and I was
I
like,
can't name one Lutheran.
they were like, oh, Bruce Willis, he was once Lutheran, but in recent years he appears to be less enthusiastic about organized religion. God is also this snow, and God is also the little buds that come out on the
true,
trees,
Bruce Willis.
little babies that get born. That's my God.
Have you ever stared into the eyes of a newborn baby? I have.
But organized religion you can set on fire. Lutheran,
And
Bruce
that's
Willis.
Bruce Willis on Lutherans. Is that it? Anyone else?
Kirsten Dunst was, I don't think,
she
is
seems
any
nice.
more. Dana Carvey, I doubt is still.
It's probably
like, a
just one that
practicing
you like
Lutheran.
go to when you're a kid and like you don't, because it's not high control, it's just kind of like you just casually. We got to get through some more footage.
Yes.
We have a long way to go.
And he wasn't super excited about it, and he really was the one who initiated us leaving. So now we go to a small Lutheran church, which was so different than anything I grew up with. But that's kind of like as much as he might read all these books about philosophy or whatever, I don't know, all this other stuff, he is like the one who led our family into this church that is amazing. And I have learned and grown like so much as a Christian, and it's a place where I'm so excited to raise my kids and to raise a family. And I think that if I had tried to control that, like, no, I want to stay at our previous church, like that's scary to move churches, and now we're in this Lutheran church with all of this liturgy and, you know, like infant baptism and all these crazy things, we wouldn't have made this transition if
Crazy.
Infant liturgies.
Infant baptism and liturgies. Just generally speaking, liturgies. Liturgies, various.
Most evangelicals I know want to make liturgies illegal.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm so proud of you, Bethany. Good for you. And I'm so glad that you're feeling happy about it. Like, she sounds like she's doing well, and I like to see it.
Yeah, making positive moves.
Yeah.
Again, gotta appreciate every little budding flower is God, and God is also Bethany and Dave.
And I actually really think Bethany is a girl boss. I think she has an
she's
intrinsic girl boss energy.
we wouldn't have made this transition if I had like dug my heels in, but I was excited about it, and it was, even though it was a little scary, and that's like all because of Dave's leadership, you know? And so I feel like our kids are in a wonderful place. Like, although we might not agree on everything theologically or how we go about practically getting help, like he to me is someone who
It's lucky that they believe that the man should be the leader, but Dave is a genuinely good leader, it sounds like, and is not coercive in any way.
Yeah.
He's just like presents ideas, and I feel like as much as they might describe him as the leader, it's more just kind of a mental power she's giving him probably. But she seems also very able to stand in her own opinions if they do differ.
he to me is someone who is like very much has like a true genuine faith. It just looks really different from mine. But I view my kids as having like an incredible
That is genuinely good for kids. Like that, you are absolutely lucky that you both came to that way of thinking before your kids got much older. That's awesome.
Again, just projecting my experience here, finding some mirrors to my experience, always bringing this back to me.
To the me of it all.
What I felt like I was doing and what I kind of see reflected here is this carving away of all the things that aren't really faith. It's cutting out false beliefs or inherited traditions.
Or useful faith.
And getting back to what is actually important about faith. And Bethany seems like she's kind of experiencing that here. It's like, it's just an innate trust. It's the state of your being. It's like, it's not about like believing these specific things and making it sure everybody else, including your husband or your wife, believes exactly as you do. It's that trust because you know that whatever journey they're on is good for them and that they are a good person, and you like, it's just a basic trust. And I think that's beautiful, and that they keep carving away. It ends up just kind of being that, and you actually don't really need all the other stuff. Maybe it's different with kids and things, and like wanting a community of support and things. I get that. Maybe am not so inclined for the formal structuring for those reasons, but there's other ways to do that too.
I feel like Bethany and Dave genuinely value peace, and a lot of Christians, they're so driven by the fear, which that's really the beauty of what's happened here, is they've unpacked a lot of their shame and fear, and now they get like they're benefiting from doing that. And I think that's something Paul and Morgan need to do, and I think that's been the main damage of their content, is instilling shame and fear, because again, everything runs on shame and fear.
Yeah, the more controlling an organization, the more that they use shame and fear. And I think Mormonism was probably further down that spectrum than their sects, probably. The more I think people tend to believe that any like easing up of that control will have devastating consequences and all hell will break loose.
That's what they
and it'll be
teach you.
Apocalyptic, and it'll ruin your marriage. And actually, I think what, at least from my limited perspective in the world, the thousands of people that I've been able to interact with who have had similar experiences, is that the less of that they've held on to, the better that they've been, because shame actually is a poison. And if you're ingesting it on a regular basis, you develop a tolerance, but it's not good for you.
Jamie, make that a short.
And that like when you let go of all of it, you can just like exist as like an adult, as like the universe entire experiencing consciousness through the vessel of your body.
Bad, and I think they're going to be like extremely stable and not manipulated into the faith, or not like coerced into like, this is, you need to look this way and act this way, and then when they get older, like ditch it.
Christians of the kind that they were aren't really even able to enter adulthood until they get married, especially for women. I feel like these two have just grown up so much in their marriage. Like they have developed real world understanding that they just were not given growing up because they were sheltered. That's like what it means to be sheltered, to like not understand reality.
They have a dad who's extremely authentic and genuine, and in the long run, to me, that's like going to go so much further than him looking like this, you know, ideal Christian man, whatever.
He does look like the ideal Christian man.
Whatever that is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, very interesting.
Morgan's like, no. No.
Hey,
The fact that Morgan is
She's like, but the liturgies? You're just okay with liturgies?
it's funny because like that's Morgan being as polite as she can, but she's like, that makes me uncomfortable. And Bethany like knows that she feels that way, but is also being good natured about it. Lovely. Love to see it.
Yeah, it's amazing. That just keeps happening all the way down until you're like deep in nihilist philosophy and your best friend is like, ah!
it's your old marriage. You gotta figure it out.
How you holding up, Bethany?
Good. Can I get y'all a snack? Oh, look what I have. Look, does anyone need a bar?
Oh, ho, ho! We got bars.
I mean, between the two of us, for sure, like who's influenced the other more, like in our relationship, for sure Dave's influenced me more. Okay. Like I've for sure become more like him. Yeah. And so I guess less kind of like my family, less how I was raised.
Yeah.
Is that hard for your family to see?
I think they're just like, oh, Dave and Bethy, they're random.
Those two crazy kids.
Everyone is so far has been like super respectful and like very much like, you know, as adults, like respecting each other's views. Maybe if we were like ditching the faith or something, but it's like we're still super strong Christians. It just
That's where the Christian compassion would have firm and sudden boundaries.
This is actually the kind of thing that makes you kind of almost not like realize that everyone doesn't need to leave Christianity. Like it takes all kinds, because it's that thing of this level of open-mindedness, which people in which their Christian family members probably desperately need to try and absorb, is only palatable because they still give themselves the label of Christian. The minute it's in someone else, it becomes demonized. So like this is how you rebrand that behavior in their eyes, because they've been taught to associate it with people that are not Christian. So it's like, even though you're playing their game, it's like, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good for them to see a model of it that feels non-threatening enough for them to actually appreciate it.
The other day I had a realization that I was like, whoa, I've really become a lot of the things that I used to hate. And it's not because I started doing evil things. It's because I literally just let go of the hate.
Yeah.
When I stopped hating things, I stopped hating myself and the things about myself. You know, it's just like, oh, I'm just like a human primate, like having an experience. That's fine. That's okay. That's allowed.
But we hate what is threatening to us.
looks different in some of the gray areas and secondary issues. I want my views to be challenged because I don't just want to live in a certain way or believe things because I've always believed them.
I've never heard her talk like this before. Have you? Like, she really seems like something significant has happened.
We called it. We had our finger.
We did, and
on the
everyone was
pulse.
like, "Oh, you're being so optimistic." They are still so many levels deep in shit, and it's like, maybe, but look,
They're
look
doing
at her.
liturgies now.
Did you?
And they're like not actually true or beneficial. There might be a better way to live.
I could just imagine them like they're like the ex-Mormon couple that's gonna try wine together one day, and I want them to like have fun. Like they seem like a couple that would have fun on an ex-religious journey.
Wait, but they do drink though, right? They have like
I
a glass of
think
wine.
so.
I feel like most Christians are like kind of okay with
My Christian
alcohol.
family members have gone back and forth on that. I think there's the more moderate Christians are kind of okay with it, but just not in excess. Like ideally, you should never get drunk. But I actually think these four.
Ideally.
I mean, we all have the ideal, babe.
Yeah.
But I do
ideally, you
think-
won't be like, I'm drunk, I'm having a great time. Let me do one
Ideally,
more.
you won't be like, I'm drunk in the back of the car and I cried. Like, I do think all four of them have the don't drink, because I think Paul and Morgan have done a video on it. But if you guys know something I don't, then comment.
I have a feeling that like a lot of people who watch your stuff, who hate watch your stuff, are like, she just lives in an echo chamber. She's not surrounded by anyone with differing opinions. I think they would be shocked to know.
Except the people that are saying that because she was in an echo chamber, which is why she didn't used to display these views. Is that what you were going to say?
No, you're spot on. I have nothing else to contribute.
So it's not just like all these haters being like, you know, like choosing to have a bad faith interpretation of you. We are loving this.
Different opinions than you, and you're living under the same roof with them and being challenged, and you guys are pushing each other. And so I think that's very interesting to learn about you. I didn't know that.
This is also just a little bit for fun.
Don't hurt yourself.
This would hurt Paul. Wow.
Yeah, that's my boy.
Okay. Oh, I'm not gonna do that.
He's gonna kill his.
Paul, no.
I
Can't do an untrained kick up, Paul, no.
I've demonized Paul before, but I'm in this video. I'm like, he's just like a little brother, and it's like kind of endearing.
That's what, you know. Oh, this is.
Yeah.
Lads. See, that's what I'm talking about. Dave is a calisthenics king.
Something about it.
Yeah. Okay, Bethany, we've talked a little bit about like how you and Kristen have grown in your views and whatnot, and I feel like you all get pushback for growing.
I mean, the pushback for growing probably comes more from Christians.
Not from us.
From Christians.
Yeah,
yes.
I bet it does.
That's what the ex-Mormons experience too. They're like, yep, pretty much. It's just the Mormons who have a problem.
Like, used to us being a certain way, and they like the more conservative black and white version of us. We've been accused of, you know, like conservative Christians are like, we can't follow y'all anymore. You're basically like becoming feminists.
Imagine being worried that Bethany was a feminist.
The worst thing you could be in this world.
You guys are basically feminists.
You
at this
basically
point.
believe women are people and should be treated equally. Can you believe yourself? Can you hear yourself talking right now?
And it's like, have you seen like all the stuff we're posting? Yeah.
That's kind of like a big claim. Like, you guys are becoming feminists. What are they going off of?
Honestly, the bar to call yourself a feminist is quite low. It's lower than it even should be.
Yo.
But you're still not me in it.
I don't know. Like, if we're not super hard on everything.
But they do act in a more feminist way with each other. They've kind of gone beyond, a little bit outside of the traditional trad wife, you know, like what this lot all believes. So, and like in that Dave is non-toxic in his masculinity, it seems like, generally.
And she seems... Is that reinforcing the patriarchal structure?
Yeah, it's a... You know what I mean? They're like, they do seem kind of like a modern couple that are working it out together, and it isn't like Dave's... She's been influenced by him, I think, because his ideas are good.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like there's like a patriarchal control happening, although obviously there's still like the forces, there's still, you know, yeah, let's keep watching.
They're still having to say, I don't know why anyone would accuse me of being a feminist.
Yeah.
Thing like how a dating relationship be pure, just like anything. It's like, it's not necessarily like feminist stuff, but they just view us, if we're not ultra conservative, then we have to be like feminist, you know, if we're not ultra conservative, then we have to be deconstructing. Like, if we're not,
there's no middle ground.
Yeah.
I know they don't like the word deconstructing, but I'm like, that is literally the name for what you're doing. You are unpacking ideas that you've realized aren't core to reality and truth and beauty, and like, that's just the name for that.
That's what we should call it then, unpacking Christianity. Opening up the box, horrors, genocide.
There's no middle ground. It's like very, very extreme. But at the end of the day, we're not trying to be like the Holy Spirit for people and tell people what they can and can't do. People have specifically accused me of being like, oh, you're really becoming, you know, more of a feminist and stuff. Like, oh, Bethany, she's taking steps. She's almost there. And I always crack up because I'm like, what? Like, I am still like an extremely passionate like Christian.
And the thing about being extremely Christian is you cannot be a feminist.
I guess not. I want to agree, like, totally in theory, yes. Like, Mr. Rogers really does exist, and the man was a Presbyterian. And I fell asleep to a Mr. Rogers ASMR last night and got some pretty good bits before I fell asleep. And one of them where he was talking about faith, and he's like, I won't talk to you about my faith unless you ask me about it. And he's like, that was a really bad Mr. Rogers, but I'll work on it. We'll keep doing the ASMR. But he was like, that's my internal thing. Like, my faith is how I show up in the world and what I'm making with people and how I'm connecting with people and how I'm being present with every single person. And I'm like, damn, that is a good type of Christianity, Mr. Rogers. And maybe what they're unpacking are all these things that aren't actually faith and aren't actually Christianity, or, you know, what's necessary or useful or helpful for them now, and realizing that maybe just like being alive, a human, having experience, learning, and sharing community that transcends artificial boundaries of creed and nationality and all that is really what unites us as human beings and as sentients on this shared global home. Maybe.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
It's
That's
so
kind of
weird.
what that's what the haters are hoping for. They
Yeah.
want you to be there, so they're like, she's almost there, and then the Christians are like, she's there, she's too.
I love that her idea of a hater is someone who's like enthusiastically encouraging her.
I know,
She's
but it's
describing like
she's
what you
in
see.
hell with us.
Like, it's so fun. We love it.
But like the haters, they would only be happy if it were like a full deconstruction, and then like
Right.
Folks, we're so happy right now.
Yeah, we're so happy you're a Lutheran or, you know, going to Lutheran church.
Yes.
Get in the car, girls. We're doing light feminism and liturgies.
hating going out and like hating Girl Defined or making apology videos or whatever. It's like, I'm, you know.
Whoa, that was a big one.
Why is it so fun for boys to like throw things
don't
on your
know.
head?
The haters, they say something like Kristen and Bethany's views are still problematic, and again, these are the hate videos.
Yeah.
Still problematic, but I am seeing progress with them. From my research,
If you were talking about us there, Paul, because that sounds a lot like how we were, they were
subtweet
not
us.
hate videos at all. We were celebrating. It's just that you think that her evolving her ideas, her unpacking is a negative thing. So you think the fact that we're celebrating it must inherently be evil or bad. But we're like, no, go girl.
We love everyone's truth journey and
Yeah.
growth journey.
Anytime anyone unpacks a harmful idea, that's a win.
I'm seeing a trend of that. How does that make you feel, and is that a good thing that they're saying that?
I don't take that as a compliment.
Love the idea of his research.
I know.
He's got
I know.
photos of everybody. He's got red yarns.
Tana, his research was watching our video. I guarantee it. Just because it's so specifically their relationship coded and it did like do really well. I guarantee Paul has watched that video. And remember that time when he posted the when we did Is Paul from Paul and Morgan a Witch? And he shared this thumbnail on his story. Ah! Paul knows who we are.
I don't, well, because what do they want? You know, what is progress to them?
We just want you to live, laugh, love, girl. That's it. And we are celebrating you right now. If nothing else happens, it's still worthy of we don't have this outcome we need for you to get to. It's just like, it is cool when someone unpacks harmful ideas. It's kind of cool. It's a cool momentum to see, and it's exciting when you feel like someone is having like, you know, a lot of evolution really quickly.
Yeah, especially for people who have the shared experience of unpacking
Yes.
Christianity and disentangling
And
from the
knowing the
hard
joy it
and
can bring
harmful
you.
parts. Because we were all taught to like echo harmful ideas
Mm-hmm.
and outdated ideas. And we're all learning. So it's like, yay, we're all in this
Mm-hmm.
together.
have more of like okay, the gospel is the most important thing. Secondary issues, like instead of saying like this is the way, either that's our opinion or you know, and I guess they view that as progress, moving away I guess they view that as moving away from scripture, but the
I feel like I know that we also know that phase intimately where you're like, okay, I'm clinging to the basics because not a lot of else is making sense right now. You know, you can stay there for a while, maybe forever, but
Fowler stages of faith.
yes, exactly. It's like, this
The
is feeling very familiar.
True believers at stage 2 or 3 view it as backsliding.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the Christians are seeing your spiritual progress and growth as
Mm-hmm.
because you're going against fundamentalist or inherited ideas about what is authoritatively speaking for God. And when you whittle it down, there's not much other than your just own internal inclination.
I think Dave knows about James Fowler's stages of faith.
He does now.
He does now.
reality is we still have very strong convictions and beliefs. We just don't necessarily always put them out there in the same way. Maybe we're not as far as they actually think we are. I mean, Kristen and I have a book coming out in the fall, and it is
shout out!
well, it is like so like so hardcore girl defined, but in like the best way possible. And I'm so pumped about it.
I was literally about to say, he looks like he is about to just could explode at any second. And then he literally did. And I was like, whoa.
It's kind of endearing.
Yeah.
He's like hyping up
He's
his friend's
hyping.
book. But I love that this is Bethany being like, me and Dave might seem like we've come a long way, but me and Kristen have the most heinous book coming out this fall. So don't worry, you're still going to get the classic girl-defined experience, despite the fact that I'm Lutheran now.
It's like everything, like, like if you have read the first book, Girl Defined, and
We've read Sex, Purity, and the Longings of a Girl's Heart, and it wasn't up there in terms of my favorite reads ever, I'll be honest.
I did prefer Come As You Are. And also Sex at Dawn and The Ethical Slut.
Yep, it left a lot to be desired. Let's just say that.
we are online and like on social media and stuff, like it really is like a very accurate representation of like our personalities and stuff. Like people have caught that. Like I'm probably more bubbly and more energetic and loud than Kristen, and people have caught those things about her personality. Like I'm more spontaneous, she's more well thought out, you know? So it's like those things, those are true about us.
This is where it gets so interesting, the next 15 minutes.
Can I pray for us?
Dave asks to pray.
Oh, are you surprised or still?
Oh, dude, it blesses my heart.
This is also reminding me of you. It's like while he's in this faith crisis, it is actually true that he is more faithful than ever. You know, he's more sincere in his like, it's like his faith is becoming purer to him.
If there was like one YouTube channel that you'd say is your favorite, who would it be?
Mostly I listen to Megan Kelly and that's about it.
Okay. Oh, Megan Kelly.
I like her individual.
Don't you dare say anything bad about Megan Kelly. Don't you dare!
They all love Megan Kelly, and Dave's like, eh.
Bro, what are you doing for your arms? How do I get arms like that, Dave? Dave,
You've been on your way.
I've been on my way.
I love Megan Kelly.
I think she's cool.
So he does still think Megan Kelly is cool.
Oh, Megan Kelly from Fox News?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
That's all of their favorite. Yeah. But I just think Dave wouldn't be allowed to say. Like, I just think.
like my grandmother's favorite. No offense, Grandma. You are the love of my heart.
Who is more likely to cry?
Bethany for sure.
But you're a crying man.
I am a very crying man, but relatively speaking, she will cry more.
That's the way it should be. A very crying man with an even more crying woman.
Yeah.
That, I believe, is God's design for womanhood and malehood. I genuinely believe that.
I think so too. I already knew that in my heart of hearts. I didn't need to be told that, but it is nice to hear that confirmed. I likewise am a very crying woman and man. I'm both.
A woman, if you will.
I kind of asked this because it's definitely happened with Morgan and I, and does happen with us. People online like to decide which one they're going to agree with more than villainize the other person. And I was kind of reading comments on a video and I saw, I hope Bethany's husband finds happiness.
Oh, I've heard that one before.
That's been our story. I hope Morgan finds happiness.
Yes.
And when you hear it, freedom, when you hear that so many times, it can start to
evaluate your theology, your deeply held beliefs about patriarchal roles and the influence of Christianity. And
I think most of the time, those types of comments in this community do come from a really sincere place. From people who know the struggle of wrestling with faith the way that we've seen Dave do it, and wrestling with marriage and like just all the things that are notoriously hard about this Christian way of trying to be, and then like not even being certain if it's real.
And we also know what it's like to be content creators and have people just say like mean offhand things because in their mind, you're like not real people, just worthy of like the way that we speak to each other in the comment section is not the way we would speak to each other in real life, right?
Sometimes I feel a little sorry for myself. Yeah, 100%. It's not.
Expound on that if you don't
It ain't king energy, but it's something.
It's not what?
It's not king energy.
Okay.
All king energy is king energy when you're a king, Dave, and you are King Dave.
Already feeling sorry for myself, and then hearing one of those and be like, "You're damn right."
Wow.
Swearing after praying at the dinner table.
That's interesting that Dave reads, I hope he finds happiness, and he's like resonating with the comment. And I'm like, I'd resonate with our comment section too. I felt like we were all really on Dave's side and we really saw Dave. I'm not saying we know everything, but I really think
we want
our hearts were with Dave.
We want all of you to be happy.
We do.
May all beings be fully shredded of arm and happy in their marriage.
Well, but that's a scary thought for me if I were to think, like, Morgan's over there thinking...
It's possible.
He's like, I do not want Morgan getting any ideas about happiness. That's scary for me.
Have you felt that way when you get all these messages of... No, let's be real, like, of messages of you. Morgan, what is it? I hope Morgan finds happiness. And that's said in so many different ways.
I would say that I've...
Please say no. Please say I'm being real. I hope these aren't sticking with you.
We're going to have a check-in.
Like, Morgan could do so much better, that type of stuff.
No. None of that stuff.
The comment they're using to highlight the attitude of haters
I know,
is people saying, I hope you find happiness.
But that's because up is down, and in high control groups, like the us versus them thinking is poison to the way that you see things.
I genuinely hope you find happiness every day in cups of coffee and sunsets.
I just think sometimes it's hard to believe that like a patriarchal man is going to change. So like, yeah, sorry, Paul, if it feels a bit threatening, the thought that she might find happiness outside of you. But it's like a woman, if she's not being given like the freedom she deserves in a relationship, then I do hope she leaves that relationship, because I don't want women to be trapped in cages.
This is why the internet is starting to call you falsely a feminist because of stuff like that. They're going to start thinking you're a feminist. And then what will you say for yourself? How will we be able to walk the streets?
Like, Morgan could do so much better, that type of stuff.
No. None of that stuff.
I've never seen women as equals, ever.
Because I've never been like,
and then we're getting back to you guys.
And none of that stuff about like you're being mentally or emotionally abused. Like I'm like, you guys are idiots. Like, I'm sorry, but idiots, total idiots. But I will say there have been times when like maybe someone has said something of like, I'm trying to think.
Oh no. Where's she about to go with this?
What is it? Well, okay. Well, this is just something that like Christians and haters will say of like, Paul cuts you off when you talk. Like, he's not like listening.
We get that one all the time. For years, it was that I always cut Tanner off. Then there was a phase where it was Tanner always cuts me off. So we get it. That one used to get to me when people would say I cut Tanner off, because I was like, I know. But it was like I had shame about it. But I think we all just cut each other off as humans, especially if you're like a married couple or like, do you know what I mean? You're just used to talking in a close way. Humans talk over each other.
I thought it was because you were Scottish phobic.
Scottish phobic?
Yeah. I thought the reason you were cutting me off was because you as an English person were phobic of my Scottish heritage. It's good to know.
I've got more Scottish heritage than you. It's way closer in me.
He's not like listening. Like, he's not respecting your voice. And they like take it deeper, and they're like, it's because he doesn't respect you. Blah, blah, blah. And I don't think that's the case, but I am like.
But then y'all talk about it? Like, are you like, why do you cut me off?
There are times when, like, after a video, I'll be like, hey, like, you cut me off a couple times. Like, can you chill out? And he's like, you're right. Like, I'm so sorry. I'll chill out. And he does. He does a good job of that, if I point it out.
It's just like the way people take it deeper, and they're like,
yeah, no, I've never sat around and been like, oh, they're right. I am in a terrible marriage. He is the villain.
Are you finished?
I couldn't tell if that was sincere or ironic.
A bit of both.
It's real life. To me, though, in all reality, like, that is a little bit scary. It's a little bit scary because it's not our...
Wait, was that just sincere? Was he really just saying, are you finished?
His thing was just like, this is a really uncomfortable topic for me, you know. Right. But isn't the tension diffused so much with Bethany and Dave there to laugh at it? Normally on their channel, we get it without the laughter. Reads totally different.
But there's like anxious laughter. Like, look at Dave. Roll the tape again, Jamie.
It's still helping, that's all I'll say.
Circulation.
The stuff online, I think the part that gets, like the comments and all of the messages, like, I'm the villain, you know. And I think the only time it gets frustrating for me is if just being honest, is like when he's like, it starts interacting with them. And
interact with us, Dave.
Sometimes I feel like starts like, oh, like they're actually really nice people and all of this, and almost like
maybe interacting just means watching though.
We don't want to humanize anybody here, not people who are not
Dave's
of our faith.
Humanized us. Dave, comment below if you've humanized us.
It feels like it's now like them against me. And it's less of like he's not upset or mad at me or anything. It's just more like, oh, we should be sympathetic. But at the end of the day, it's like, in some of these cases,
Christians do not humanize the other.
I feel like these people really do want they do want to see our relationship fall apart. Sure. Even though they might be like, we hope you and Bethany stay together, they don't really hope that.
Right.
And
there are assholes out there, but I think generally only in as much as they don't believe you should wait for people to change, and they want this person who is like clearly craving freedom to be free. Even though I think it would be nice if, because they have kids, obviously we would prefer for them to just like have the best time deconstructing and stay together. People do get divorced after like deconstructing a high control group. That's pretty normal. There's no shame in it either way. We just like want the best for you.
It's got to be so annoying to have strangers weighing in on your relationship, but that's, I guess, what happens when
out.
you...
Yeah. They specifically make content about their relationship and how Christian marriages are superior. And so it's like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. So you could almost say it's like existential kink on some level for them to get that kind of feedback.
To see our relationship fall apart.
Sure.
Even though they might be like, we hope you and Bethany stay together, they don't really hope that.
Right.
And that's...
I want to go on the record as saying, I hope you guys stay together and I hope it's awesome. But also, I don't uphold marriage as like this essential, like if you both genuinely are better growing apart as individuals and need to do that as part of your like personal journey, that's fine. It's just about unshaming all of it. We really don't care either way. We, at least over in this corner of the rancid, toxic, ex-religious YouTube algorithm, feminists, the F word.
We like to cuss a little.
We really genuinely do want you to stay together, and we just also want you to be happy and
also
not be
like
adding to the
come over to my
shame
house
complexes and go on our Banff trip. Still Costa Rica slots open.
Oh,
kind of become apparent with a lot of these people that it's not. And so I think that's frustrating because I really don't believe they have pure motives or pure intentions or really care about either of us.
Right.
And so it's, to me, that's frustrating if there is, and this just be like being real. I want to feel like my man is like standing up for me and like he is like, you know, forget them. They're like, why are they coming after my girl? And so when you're like compassionate toward them, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
compassion is such a slap in the face sometimes.
When Dav turns the other cheek in Christian style, it really just
I
weakens
know.
him in my eyes.
I totally get it. Her feelings are all understandable.
Yeah,
but
totally,
it's like people are like criticizing you for showing open disdain to him when he talks and stuff. So like it makes sense that it's like we're in the corner of like healthy relationship principles, which is like, don't roll your eyes when your partner's talking. That's just like shitty. But we know that it's not your fault, and like you're just trying to navigate this difference of beliefs, and it's chat, like we've all been there. But like you put content out, and so your content gets critiqued, and like your content is your relationship, so your relationship gets critiqued.
like I feel bad, like I choose to, but I just, it's hard.
Yeah, so in order to deal with that, because I don't want to, compromise my own integrity by dropping the fact that I think that a lot of these people are not as evil as sometimes we talk about on the one hand, but I also do want to be a very strong, rock for Bethany and stand up for her as her husband and all that. So typically my solution has been just to not talk, not have those ongoing conversations.
It's hard
But we do
because,
have different views about this.
I guess it's hard for me.
That is kind of sad. Like,
Yes.
just need to be more isolated and...
Yeah, it's tough. He's caught between a rock and a hard place. I certainly couldn't watch someone critique me with this energy, so don't even think about it.
If I feel like, okay, you're building relationships, man, woman, I don't care, with people who hate me. I mean, it's like
Okay, this is interesting because I feel like he's in that classic deconstruction phase where you just need to be talking to people. I think we both going through our deconstruction form these like really deep relationships with like people on the internet who, Reddit being a good example, like the ex-woman Reddit community. So it's interesting because she said, you're forming these relationships, man, woman, I don't care. It's like, so it's allowed for him to form a relationship with a woman because it's like via the internet and it's in these communities, is what I'm guessing. It's like Reddit maybe, or I don't know what the space is or anything. Maybe I'm way off, but
I can imagine if I'm in your shoes, like it's got to be nice to be the one with that they really like. And then if you're feeling frustrated at me for some reason, like, yeah, you are kind of right. It's like, I can imagine if I were in their shoes, whatever, it's got to feel a little bit good to be the one that they like.
Yeah, I think they kind of see from some of the videos I watched, I think they kind of see you as...
That's what you get for having the best opinions.
It's like people are rushing to support him because they're like seeing how much he needs it and deserves it and maybe isn't getting it. And it's not your fault you haven't been able to give it to him.
And she also recognizes that, again, she has been changing as a result of his influence.
Yeah. So she's doing great.
So we're all agreeing, and the fact that we're talking about it hopefully isn't interpreted as hate. Really don't want...
Yeah, that's why I really like this video, because I'm like, this is actually a real conversation that they're having around the dinner. It's not like both of these...
Rather than just being like, Taylor Swift is a witch.
It's like, what?
See, from some of the videos I watched, I think they kind of see you as more progressive in your views and more open-minded, where they would they would look at Bethany and be like, Bethany looks at the Bible and she proclaims what she sees to her following, and it's pretty black and white to her. And Dave is over here kind of looking like the mediator, like he's kind of coming our way. He doesn't see things so black and white. He's a very nuanced man. I think Dave could come our way. They're kind of, I think, rooting for you when they feel like with Bethany, like, she's probably never going to, but maybe we could get Dave. So I can see how that would sting for Bethany in particular, of like these people, maybe they're not all horrible, but they're not looking out for our marriage.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel like they would like to see me. They would love to see you leave me and go off and.
We would not love for your life to crumble.
No. We want to see you fly. Yeah. We want to see you grow wings and fly through this world.
And I'm really not, I guess I'm not sure what content they're referring to and how much that this is just their interpretation, but generally a lot of the, like thinking about the major people that do commentary on Girl Defined, like Mickey Atkins, Fundy Fridays, I feel like people were generally actually a lot nicer than they're portraying. Like the major Girl Defined videos, I feel like usually are quite nice.
Do something and they'd love for my life to just like they don't just dislike my message.
Yeah. On the internet, you only are your message, if you know what I'm saying. Like we don't know you, we only know the content you put out. And also, I don't even like saying we, because I'm like, this isn't us. It's just tough when like the content that you make is you sharing your ideas, and we think most of your ideas are bad. That's going to feel very personal, but it's not coming from a place of wanting anyone to suffer. God.
Yeah, and I know what it's like to fully equate my beliefs with my identity, and to view as an attack on my beliefs as an attack on my identity. So if someone were to push back at all on any of my beliefs, I took it as, and was conditioned to view it as, outright religious persecution. So, and I know that a lot of evangelical Christianity, Protestant Christianity has that kind of background as well, that kind of mentality. So maybe that's feeding into it, but it sucks when you experience like the pain of a religious transition, faith journey, and you realize, oh, the toxicity was in the Christianity. It was like anytime I learned anything new about the world, I got such toxic pushback from my own congregation, like she was talking about earlier. Now it seems like that there's people on the outside who at least she's assuming don't have the best intentions for her marriage, but it's like we just want to see less like shame and bad ideas in the world. And again, if you've adopted those as your identity, that's too bad. But hopefully, as you're showing here, you're learning, and we're all learning together.
I think the issue with like the us versus them thinking, or the very black and white thinking, is it also trains you to see it as like there's our group and then there's the other group, not realizing that there's like a million groups, and that there's people that are assholes to you in unfounded ways, and then people that are giving you really it's just easy to lump it together when it just feels very like one or the other. Dave has obviously come to a place where he seems like he can see the nuance, which is huge, because it means, again, he's transcended the other.
Don't like me,
that's largely, I think that's largely true.
Yeah, so it doesn't feel good for me to see you like, trying to like, I don't know, build these relationships as they're proactively telling you, like,
who's he building a relationship with that isn't us? And why wasn't it us? What don't we have? What do they have that we don't?
We want you to have a happy marriage, but we would be, we understand if you need to leave.
Because that was what they were doing with Morgan. Yeah. They were saying suddenly they really like.
It's not like hateful and not supporting their marriage to just be like, it's okay if you want to leave. Like, that's just kind of how I feel about all marriages at all times. It's nothing personal to you guys, or it's just like not everyone shares the same ideas about marriage. So that's not like hateful of your marriage, to be like, just because you believe that it's not okay to even consider leaving ever being a valid possibility.
of being emotionally abusive, and then suddenly they love Morgan and they're saying, Morgan, how much do you need for me to pay you to get out from him, like get away from him? And it's like, oh, wait. Suddenly you're really supportive.
Money?
We could have maybe utilized that.
Could have been like, send me all the money.
But suddenly they're really friendly with you.
Get out?
Because
No,
they
I'm still stuck. Send more.
right.
Just a little bit more. It's so true though. Yeah, like out of nowhere.
Yeah, and it was all so, for me, it was so clearly, I was just like, you don't give one hoot or holler about me.
I have a.
You love the drama.
I think they love the drama. I think that's a part of it here.
I want to kind of. There's so much that could be said about
this is a lot.
I can see, the people who have made videos about us. Cody Combe, he kind of started this all off with like Girl Define. His video has like 33 million views or whatever.
That had to have been fucking rough for these two small town sheltered Christian girls, just in their 20s, earnestly sharing what they think is just like God's pure word. And then, and Cody Co wasn't like mean he's not a mean person, but like, yeah, got really destroyed.
But he is a known roaster and a good one.
And then the comment sections, like people are brutal. And that was even a while ago before the discourse had even got this far.
Yeah, that would be insane.
And to just get thrust, like that video has 33 million views. Like that's an insane, the nervous system of it all.
It is wild, like how even when you don't want to, the feedback that you get from being a creator ultimately does shape your perspective. Like we probably never would have gone down all this rabbit hole had we not been putting ourselves out there and been forced to engage in conversations.
You're
sometimes.
asking for it,
and then other times you're like, oh shit, I actually don't know a lot like I thought I did, and I should have conversations with people who know more than I do. Like Dave.
Whether they're a fan or a hater or whatever, they approach social media or people they see online, and the ones they disagree with, they like really wish ill on them, and they hope and then there are other people who don't do that. And so it's like, my thing is like, the people who are actively on these hater channels or on these Reddits or
on the TikToks, on the Zip Zaps, on the Boombles, on the Crimples.
Okay, imagine going through your faith crisis and your wife being like, that's actually something we can't relate to. And I'm just realizing the added layer of intensity that would add. Not only is he going through this, which on its own is huge, but his wife is an influencer for the ideas he's deconstructing.
They have that gene of like wanting to see people like go down.
When he has his moment with the Truman Show after all this, that's going to be salient.
To see them demonetized, proactively coming against like their sponsors and trying to get them shut down.
I think there's a lot of that energy there, but I don't necessarily think it's unique to that group. It is conceivable, I'm not saying that they all do, but it is conceivable that the haters are willing to tell you things about yourself that nobody else is willing to tell you. Unless you have the type of people in your life that will call you out. And a lot of us surround ourselves with...
Really respect that.
Respect that. Shiz.
Yeah.
All right? I censored myself for Dave, just in case he's listening.
To see, like, even if they disagree, they want to see you do well or to make it better or to make it wiser. And you can tell in the way they're messaging you, you know?
In general, you shouldn't take advice from people who don't wish you well.
Right.
However, if you have integrity, you should be able to, you don't necessarily have to pay attention to haters, but you should be able to look past the fact that they're haters if they do happen to say something that is true.
Of course, yes, I agree.
Yeah. If they say something that's true.
Dave.
I know.
If all Christians had been and were and ever would be like unto King Dave, etc., etc., read the book.
You know the rest.
But I think that you have decided to sort of play that us versus them game.
He is giving some real feedback now in real time.
And it's a masterclass in nonviolent communication. Like Dave's not letting his ego get too involved. I feel like he's being very he's trying to come across as like nice as possible, and it's going well. I feel like this is like quite a good...
Integrity sounds like the buzzword of the day, and that's it. It's like all comes down to your personal.
He's given a certain authority by virtue of being a man in Christianity, especially a father. Like I wonder if like Morgan was having these. Like I just feel like Dave is given more. They're more willing to listen to him because he's a man than they would be if it was a woman. But still lovely to see.
But the woman who owns the channel, it's all so fascinating.
I've started down the path of like befriending and like understand, you know, and I'm like, okay, these people aren't just sitting there like with some sort of scary. They're just people, and
Are you directing this at their channel and our channel?
I'm directing it at,
which is fine.
I'm directing.
Is this fucking play about us? He's like, this your wife though, yeah.
Yeah, all y'all, to the degree that you want to just.
Him single-handedly calling out all three of them is so cool. I know.
Just kind of write off whole groups of the internet, and I get that it's personal. I get that you've received more hate than I personally have. I think the Reddit subthreads are, from my limited interaction or understanding, it's full of people who are reacting against all kinds of stuff that both has happened to them and that they have created in their own lives. And the reason why I'm like this is because
He said both. He was
He was talking about Reminder. He said both. He was talking about two of us. Two of them, the two people. He's talking about us.
I've never had a delusional celebrity crush before. I've never
This
been.
is my first parasocial
I've never
delusion.
been. Yes, honestly, I don't like get crushed. He's not even a celebrity, but he's like only in media. So by virtue of that, he's.
I don't like real celebrities. That's the thing.
No,
I don't have, like,
me neither. I'm like, this is so not typical for me.
people who are reacting against all kinds of stuff that both has happened to them and that they have created in their own lives. And the reason why I'm like this is because I am like that in plenty of ways. I'm not willing to just write off whole groups of people because they say unkind things.
He's in love with us. He's in love with us. There's no other way to take it. Just us as well. No one else.
He's gonna turn to the camera directly and be like, Samantha and Tanner, if you're watching.
God, don't.
So this is the thing, is like if like Christianity was like this,
Yep.
and this is why so many of us leave the Christianity of our backgrounds, is because most people aren't willing to be like this, and it's like
It's
hard
easier
to,
to create this outside of Christianity than within it, which should tell you something.
Yeah. Not that has to be the case. Again, there's the Mr. Rogers
Lutheran
of the
king.
world, the Bruce Willises of the world.
I agree. I'm not writing them off, but I don't think the like online space is the place to do that. Like, I hope to be able to have conversations with people who've made videos about us. Like, I hope to be able to sit down and do stuff like
Somebody
that.
has to go first. Somebody has to be the first one to start a process like that.
I agree with you, Bethany, in that.
This is it. It's happening. This is it.
I don't want to be presumptuous, but I just feel like we're the perfect people for it.
We are. We're bridge builders at heart.
I think this might have been the deepest conversation that we've had in a while.
That is so sad.
Dave's like, I've had 7 deeper conversations this week with strangers on the internet.
I'm sorry. That was really sweet. I'm so glad.
No, it was lovely.
It's like when you're at a party and you just say something casually and someone's like, whoa, you're really blowing my mind right now. And
Yeah,
you're like,
really?
no.
It's like,
What's it like in there?
It does kind of take the life out of you. It's like,
That's heavy.
I feel pretty good.
Dave's like, I'm feeling pretty good. Like, Bethany's saying the conversation kind of drained her. Probably because it is brushing, it's like exhausting to feel like things are coming up against the edges of your perceived reality. But because Dave has been forced into this kind of, he already knows what their side is. So he's just like, oh, they didn't completely demonize me for trying to be a little bit more open-minded. That's awesome. Also, I love that Dave is so sweet to Paul.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Dave's just lovely. I feel like his intelligence makes him more compassionate.
I really love your energy. He jumped in the cold plunge.
It's absolutely horrible.
He's up for stuff. He did the little
tried to do the
cartwheel thing.
What is happening?
Y'all hearing this?
you've wanted more friends like this.
That was just them hugging. Did you see them hugging? Did you see them hugging? This was everything I hoped it would be in you. I was like so excited for you to see this.
If you're looking for more friends to do little spins in the park,
You've met your match, Dave.
Our whole branding was handstands
It
for like
really
6
was.
years.
Ex-women who love mindfulness and handstands. I honestly like Bethany after that video.
Yeah.
Like that's someone you can hang with.
Those types of conversations and those types of videos. Well, people do love like real things.
Yeah.
Like I do. We just did. We all love that, right? Wasn't that great? And I want to see more of it. I genuinely hope that is the start of more of those types of conversation with, as Dave was saying, more of people who may have differing ideas, and that those differing ideas won't be discarded just simply for being different.
If you're looking for a candidate, I think you'll like us.
Yeah. I know everybody says it.
Yeah, but come on.
Come on.
Come on, please pick us.
The choreography, the spins, the gymnastics, the mimery. We'll do calisthenics. Show me your arm routine.
Me and Bethany pick out outfits for each other at the thrift store. You and Dave are in the cold plunge.
Their next video is going to be like, there is an insane psychotic couple of YouTubers who are so obsessed with us and think we're obsessed with them. We'd literally never heard about them until they made this unhinged video.
Don't break my fucking heart. I got a knot in my stomach when you mentioned the fact that they might have never heard of us. I'm like, no, this is real. This is my Christianity. This is my Roman Empire. Don't take it away from me.
Everyone remembers their first parasocial crush, and I think this is a really sweet moment. We should all kind of bask in it together.
Time and reasoning.
Well, we are we allowed
but
to
I
say
don't want Bethany to think I legitimately am gonna crush and hit on your husband. This is we'll do a gender divide when we hang out. Like we're on your team. We just want to hang out. With
whatever makes it easier. We could
Seriously.
you could dress up like a man. I could dress up like a woman if that's just easier, so that no one's tempted by anything. Like whatever.
Should we move into final businesses?
Yeah, if this is your vibe, come to Costa Rica with us. It'll be like this, but more.
No, we got. No, we gotta calm down. If you are looking for a fun time in Costa Rica and you have a good amount of disposable income and you want to be around people who kind of think like you, us,
If you want to be around other fans of Dave and Bethany, please join us in Costa Rica.
Yeah, join us. It's in September, towards the end of September, and it's going to be really fun. Also, if you want to help support the channel, you can become a monthly donor via PayPal or Patreon. And that, I think, is where we leave you.
How do you feel?
How's everyone doing?
Do you need any aftercare, or is that good? You're good now. All right. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye, you guys. This has been great. Ugh.